Hello! Welcome to 2022! Can you tell who had the session tonight? Take a guess. Maybe 5, 4, 3, 2. Total creepy eyes too, I'll tell you all about it. But, yeah, hi. Hillary Raven Porter.
Cosmic Messenger, Derek Pennett.
And yeah, so behind the scenes. Oh, you know what's funny? So I thought this, the way that it was looking, was something like forward from us in the screen. Anyways, so yeah, behind the scenes of the Tameana Antahkarana scrub, and today was the throat sma, and yeah,
Round 5.
This is 5. It's so funny. I always think of the hardest 5, but I know it's not. But I'm always like the hard 5, but it's not 5. It's 3. But that's where a lot of heart comes in, right? So it literally feels right now that we are inside a quartz crystal. There's this it's like the tangibility of a different dimension. So when you're in the higher realms, but there's this like tangibility, and it feels like this room is no longer attached to the rest of the home space. It's crazy right now. Like it's like dense, but like expansive, but not like particulate expansive. It's literally like how it would feel if you became solid in an astral realm. So
exactly.
Right? So,
the best example is you got the transparent body. It's upgraded high density. You put your hand through the body, they let you. Your hand goes through them, right? They grab something like a glass of water, they drink it, the water stays inside of them.
That's exactly what it's
kind of
like
right now. That's how the room feels.
Speaking of water.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, water time. I have to drink my post-session water.
That's what's so great. So the water gets super activated as well when you're in here. I have a client that when they were doing the scrub, they would bring in like a whole bunch of mason jars of water to get activated for the week. It was
nice.
Great. So what I meant by Derek's creepy eyes, close to the end of the session, I think we were we had 2 more planes to activate, and I came around the table and I hadn't noticed it before. And I came around the table and I activated, and then I looked up, and it was that, like, when somebody's sleeping and their eyes are open like this much, but you can see enough of their eyes that you're like, how are you sleeping? I knew Derek wasn't sleeping. And literally they were like, yep, don't worry. We took him to this place that he's never been before, to another dimension, like, that's never been experienced. It's pretty intense. The transition, because it's that next layer of exploration and experience, basically. And they're like, bring him back gently. I was like, I always bring him back gently. And they're like, no, like, ultra gently. I was like, it's like, okay. So, and literally, I placed my hand on your head. All of a sudden your eyes closed. And then you're like, oh, I'm here. But then you had, like, Zephyr's creepy nighttime sleepy eyes.
No.
My child will wake up when you talk to them while they're sleeping. And they'll just be like, hi. But they're not. They're not connected to their eyes. That's what kind of happened. Wow. So that shows how far the traveling was.
No, it was far.
Yeah. Anything else?
The place is unknown. Well, it was a multitude of stuff. That moment was pretty interesting. Like, I couldn't even tell you exactly where it was. It felt about the 3/4 mark, maybe a little bit before that. It was just like, boom, I'm gone. Like, from that point on, what could I report? Because nothing came, right? But I knew I went somewhere. It was so interesting, right? And then after you were reading all the downloads that came down, the information flowing through you, and the insights were stating that I went somewhere brand new that I hadn't been before. But what was interesting was the whole time leading up into that moment, the room, I mean, might even have been a galactic starship at that point, light ship. It was animating in such unique ways, and it was that upshift. It was like higher density, but finer, but yet more filled up. So on the table, it was like going like this really, really fast. At the end, vibrating, but it was like a heavy push, but yet light as a feather.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The walls were expanding. there's way more space coming up and down. At times the table and myself shrunk. I felt really, really small at times and then really, really big.
It was the Alice in Wonderland session.
Mm-hmm. It was wild, yeah.
And how did we start? Remember we started the session? The guides were like hilarious. So the beginning of the session, I was like, okay guys, like, come on guys, it's time to like, you know, come in, do the work. And they're just like, da, 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 and they're like skipping through the fields and like, la, 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 and just like the language that was coming out was like, like it sounded like a little kid just being like,
inner child maximum.
Right?
Like
it was so
a higher
funny.
octave for sure.
It was so funny. And then I made you wait for like half an hour. So we got up here and I was like, yeah, we're getting done early today.
Well, that was also part of it too, because like as we were laying on the table and yet we hadn't fully activated the grid yet.
Yeah.
You're experiencing what you're about to tell them, and that was a portion of the session, it felt like.
Oh, 100%.
It was assisting the downloads to come through.
We're so activated.
What kind of stuff were we downloading?
So there's 4 levels to the through the second wave downloads. There's 4 levels to the Tameana. The Tameana. Tutushikotakai. So there's the foundational, there's the Antahkarana that we're doing now, and then there's the Gaia code accord, and then there's also the Pleiadian star code. And we've so the symbols come through, and then we work with them to be like, okay, how do we activate these, and what does it feel like before we offer them out at Gaia Odo. And so we've tried the Gaia code, but we haven't done the star code yet. And I was like, okay, well, how does the star code work? So all of a sudden I'm standing there, I'm like, oh, well, this is what you do. And you and then there's this light code coming out of my mouth. And then I was like, okay, I'm like, I'll remember it. I'm like, no, I have to write this down. And so it took me about half an hour to write down how to lay out the symbols, because there's 7 symbols for each of them, each of the levels, and so how to lay out the symbols, how to lay the crystals down, how to activate them, in what order, and then they're like, when we're standing, I'm like, okay, it's time, and I was like, just kidding, and they're like, well, here you go, and it uses the Antahkarana, the foundational symbols, the Gaia code cord, and the Pleiadian star code. Mm-hmm. And Derek, what did you call it? The Galactivator?
Galactivator. Or.
They're like, they said something, I wrote it down, but it was like, get ready to have your boots knocked off or something, or to fly out of your boots or something like that. Because it's going to be so we'll make sure to update you, and we've done the run through of those guys as well. But we were just like, I was just like, okay, I guess it's time. It's now been half an hour. But when it comes... Mm-hmm. It just comes, and there's a little bit of buffer room at Tutoshikai, but I've learned when it's in the safe space, the home space, not like in the middle of out there, but even if it is, I'll be like, I need to go in the corner for a second, I'll have my little notepad, right? But if it's big downloads, I try to just let them through, and luckily we cocoon a lot. Mm-hmm. So last night it started happening, but there's the new moon. So what's the new moon? Right? That opening in insights. And so more downloads had started coming last night. And they're like, get ready for it.
Yeah.
So we started the session with the downloads.
Yep.
Massive light code. Talking about this Galactivator.
It opens a portal. The vortex is created.
And not even just like a little vortex. It's like...
These are big ones.
Vortex. And then this like super silly... that was happening. It was so funny.
I loved it so much.
And then all of a sudden they were like... And that was like 2 layers. It was like the root, and the sacral. And then they're like, and then it started to feel like the crystalline, that we were in a quartz crystal.
There's dolphin head peeking out of my solar plexus. I was having, we'll go into the dolphin really quick, then I'll tell some more. You go.
No. Oh no, that's, I was just going to say, yeah.
And me and dolphin medicine, we go way back. This is a serious connection. Dolphin and dolphin, what's that called? Dolphin pattern reprogramming.
Oh, your Orosama bottle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the Pleiadian messages too.
Yeah, there's in the Pleiadian workbook. There's the dolphin repatterning. Yeah.
All that stuff is when I can make contact with it, it's just like some sort of otherworldly transmission going on. And then there was lots of like information running through me about how the 12-strand DNA works and how the matrix functions within it, the templates, I mean, and then how that's going to be integrated into future lifetimes and other beings, like some are at 24, 48, 62, there's varying numbers, and that we're working towards this 144 code. It's kind of blowing my mind right now. And it's just coming through me. We were talking about how it's not necessarily always a download. Like, they're happening in different combinations.
Yeah.
There's these downloads of information, then other times you upload your own wisdoms. This time it was like just a current coming through.
And I think that's what download, it has this piece of, like, it all has a piece of you in it. To go by, but the download, it has, I'm going to say more than the pure transmission. Pure transmission is like you have a satellite dish on your head, and it's just like, right? Like, it's just, because then all of a sudden you'll look over and you're like, and it happens with downloads too, but you'll look over and you're like, oh, it's been 5 minutes and I have 3 pages of stuff. Like, time just gets super crazy warp.
Exactly.
Quantum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was some of the stuff going down.
Yeah, the dolphin was like coming out of his solar plex. You can't see it, but it was coming out of his solar plexus, and he was. I hadn't even fully activated Kumataya to check out the solar plexus.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I hear the ee, and I was like, really? I said, and then the playfulness, because dolphin's super playful, right? I came back, and then right out of the solar plexus, it was like the front end, like not quite to the fin, so it was like the head and the mouth and the eyes, and it was like, hi, and it was so excited. And then when we came back down, because of the patterning that you do, when we came back down to get to go back to Kumataya, but now connected to Antahkarana, they were like, hop on, and the dolphin's like, we're back, and the dolphin was there again. When it was talking a lot about like just getting to know more of how they communicate, how they live, and how they are in general, right? So yeah, it was an interesting, like, hilarious, and then like playful, and then like serious but not serious, just like, okay, and then hello again.
Yeah.
It was all over.
Oh, it's amazing. And we have this multi-wave mat.
Oh yeah.
That's on the treatment table. It's infused with 5 crystals. It does like infrared, photonic healing, the laser therapy, and what else does it do?
Pulse electromagnetic frequency.
Exactly, and pumps out all the, like, a high level of negative ions.
Huge.
So that also helps me integrate right into the session right off the bat. And a lot of the times it's the modality that we're using that takes me away. But at the beginning it was wavy.
Yep.
That also had a huge impact. I was like, whoa, what a way to tap into, like, you know, the first layers of the light body, the etheric double, the first couple stages. It just went, okay, you're there now. Cool.
Well, I've had people lay down.
It was
and
awesome. And then the energy just expanded around the table a couple feet right away. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, once you get, because as it heats up, the negative ions and the field becomes more. And I've had people lay on the table, be like talking, and I'm like, okay, time to get on the table. And they get on the table and they lay down, and they're like, okay, I'm in the waving. And like, you can see, it's palpable from like up here, this heightened coming in from the outer world, to just like, okay, I see how much.
You sink in to get activated, right?
And it's just, it's like, yeah, wavy.
Wavy.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to share?
That's pretty good for what took place, yeah.
Okay, so this was part 1 of level 5, 5th plane of existence, Soma, the throat. And mine will be tomorrow. And then we'll share what happens then.
Oh yeah, looking forward to offering it.
So exciting. I don't know, because that was the other thing that they said. I'm so a wee bit nervous about my session tomorrow, but also excited, but also like, what's going to happen? Because they were saying both were ready for the next level. Hence, they took Derek to this space. Yeah. Right? Because they're like, nope, you're ready for this next because of the work that we've done. And they're like, both of you. I'm like, okay. So... Yay!
We went to the 13th, or I went to the 13th dimension.
We're at the 252nd dimension, and be like, what?
Yep.
Okay, thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, let us know. Reach on out. Contact information will be below. If it's on IG, then, you know, click the link in bio, as everybody says. Still trying to figure out another way to say that. And yeah, okay.
Have a wonderful...
And Antahkarana is live on the booking site. I will put the booking site down below. So that, Antahkarana is live. The scrub. So is if you just want a solo Antahkarana session, but the full scrub is live as well now. So.
8 sessions. Power up your potential.
Power up! It actually was this one. I think it's witness your light body or your divine body or something. I don't know. Some words were said. We'll check it out. Okay.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Ciao, Zach.